Hi, my name is Jean-Patrick Mahoney. I am the director for the short film Little Socrates.
So, are you a big fan of Socrates' work? I mean, where did this kind of idea of someone utilizing, a Socrates play, where did this kind of sprout from?
Well, weirdly enough, a lot of my film ideas kind of come from kind of a title first, and it actually started as sort of a joke. I was at a concert, and I was doing this job where I was a photographer for this company that did portraits of elementary school children's soccer teams and things, and this girl thought she said, "I'm sorry, did you say you took pictures of little Socrates?" And then we started joking about what that would be like, and then from there it sort of evolved into this weirdly a long ways from that idea into this whole narrative about my relationship with my estranged father.
Well, let's tackle that. How did that come about? In the short it's Robbie, but how did that whole element come about? That's emotional. That obviously is deep. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a interplay of kind of a little bit of fantastic elements to this, and also very real elements. It contains a lot of real conversations I've had with my estranged yet, disturbed father, but also the children reenact a play about the death of Socrates as sort of a metaphor for this kid's sort of relationship to the world and being himself and what that really means. And sort of the whole idea, I like to work with a lot of children put in positions where they're supposed to act more mature than they really should, mixed with, and they're put in those positions by adults that are wholly immature. So there's kind of the interplay of age and maturity.
Is it fun then to shoot young kids in that form? Or you're allowing young actors to blossom in that sense because you're giving them material that is much more maybe thoughtful in mind or adult in theme?
It was fun, but I was also terrified. This was definitely outside of my comfort zone. Did not want to, the thought of doing this with a lot of extras and a lot of young children, was really caused me a lot of anxiety. But I thought, this is probably, that's filmmaking. You got to kind of confront these things, and if it makes you feel really uncomfortable, maybe that's a sign you should do it.
Well, can you talk about where you got to film and the whole process of kind of the pre-production element of the film in the short?
Sure. Conventional wisdom would maybe suggest that it's kind of harder to get maybe parents to go along with a strange idea like this, but I got so many responses just putting it out there on various sites from parents that were very excited to put their children in this. So that was pretty easy getting people involved. Then also I knew some people in the community and people that helped out with the film. They're involved in the Baha'i community, and they had a church that was they'd actually done a play not too long ago in that same their same temple, where it was a play about Persepolis or something like that. So they already had the startings of some of the set pieces and stuff like that already. So things just kind of in that respect kind of fell into place rather unexpectedly.
That's kind of crazy. It's serendipitous.
It was a little bit, yeah.
Wow. So I've got to ask then, as a filmmaker, what filmmakers or writers, or it doesn't even have to be in the film world, inspire you? Who do you like? Who are you into?
Well, this film was a pretty big departure for me. I usually kind of do more into tongue-in-cheek sci-fi comedy type of filmmaking. This one is a little bit more serious, and so I took a little bit more influence from filmmakers like Noah Baumbach and more kind of serious filmmakers, actually Italian filmmakers a little bit. I thought I was kind of into that at the time, but typically filmmakers like John Carpenter really highly influenced me.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I've got to ask then, with it being, in a sense, something that touches you in your life, how cathartic was the experience for you, and is cathartic now that you're getting to share it with more people?
Honestly, I have to say, kind of revisiting these personal issues, it wasn't so much of a kind of cleansing as it was like, oh man, I kind of put this out of my mind and now I'm talking about them to a lot of people. So it was like kind of a struggle mentally to kind of revisit some personal issues, and I usually don't get that close to myself in my life in my films, but what I hope people will get out of it is that, I mean, a lot of people, this is not uncommon for people to have things like maybe rejection or abandonment issues from a parent that wasn't around, but what I want to show is that maybe sometimes we're better off if that particular person wasn't in our life to begin with. And that's the boy who's played by Christopher Lamas in this film. That's right at the end, he starts to realize, like, maybe this person who I've kind of idealized isn't who I thought I was, and maybe, maybe he isn't good for me, and, my mom is really great in comparison. So that's what I kind of hope people sort of get out of it.
Did you have that personal awakening moment in your life?
It was somewhat gradual, but it's really helped me personally to realize that, to say that, while I feel like I've never, the reason I've never had this person in my life is because I didn't meet this person's expectations. It's really been beneficial to me that while we are connected kind of genetically on a lot of crazy levels that you wouldn't think are just genetic, just by not seeing someone very often, that, even though you're connected, it's good that you weren't probably around that person, because you probably would have had more issues by the end.
You're better off.
Better off for sure, yes.
Wow. Well, John Patrick, I appreciate the time, and I was kind of blown away by the short and how emotional it was, how powerful it was, and how, the underlining irony of, that particular, production being put on. Where do you go from here? Where does this short's life go?
I've been kind of just submitting it around. It's sort of still like a, in my kind of catalog so far as a filmmaker, kind of a unusual piece. Right now I'm working on, I have it all shot, and I'm just still tweaking some post-production aspects of this pilot called Dance Jail, and I'm hoping to turn that into series, and I'm still just tweaking that a little bit to put.
Are you looking for like web series or TV or
wherever it can go? So trying to get somebody interested, and if not, we can. I feel pretty confident we could, raise money through places like various sort of those independent
exactly
resources.
Exactly. Kickstarter, that place.
Kickstarter, yeah.
Well, I've got to ask then, where can we find out more information about you or your films?
You can find me on Instagram, Vimeo, Facebook, and so Vimeo will have a lot of my films. Instagram also has a lot of information, little previews of things I'm working on too. And you can just Google me, Jean-Patrick Mahoney, or Jean-Patrick Nova. That's kind of my post-married name actually now, but that's kind of what I've been going by. So Jean-Patrick Nova, just Google me and you'll find me.
Perfect. Well, John Patrick, I really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.